Hey, this is Chris in Las Vegas. I'm an occultist, I'm a chaos magical practitioner, and I'm a natural born psychic. And I want to talk about the Stargate program and the remote viewing program in psychics that worked for the government. Now, if you've studied any of those things, you might know this guy, Dannion Brinkley. That's what he looks like, or that's what he looked like in the 1980s on Unsolved Mysteries. So, the story of Dannion Brinkley is he was a soldier who worked for the US government. He was working in the Middle East. He had a near death experience in which he claimed to had seen an angel. And after he had had that near death experience while working in the Middle East, he started to have psychic visions. And for some reason, in his story, the psychiatrist that he was reporting to in the US military had hooked him up with the Stargate program or the Grill Flame program to where he was going to use his psychic visions in order to get information gathering for the US government. So Dannion Brinkley became a psychic for the US government after his near-death experience. Now, what he writes about in his books is not only about his work that he did with the US government, but the spiritual things that he had later experienced as a psychic. Now, again, in his first near-death experience, he claimed that he had died. He claimed that he had met an angel and that that angel had opened up his mind to a greater spiritual world around him. And that's a big thing when it comes to psychics. Usually, a lot of psychics, especially if they become psychical in their adult life, it's usually in response to some sort of trauma. And that trauma changes that person, very much like PTSD, irrefutably. Like they are completely, like their universe is completely changed. And that whole process will make somebody psychic. And the funny thing is, when it comes to the MK Ultra like experiments, before they had psychics in the military, is that it was the idea of using drugs and trauma in order to get a psychical response from a person, whether that be a psychic break in order to make alternate personalities or a psychic break in order to get them to disassociate, to basically protect themselves that they are being interrogated. But the whole idea was to see what kind of trauma can we put a human being through and what kind of stimulus like will create the soldier that we want to create. And that poor guy was a part of it, but he was a part of it in a different way. He was employed to be a psychic. And the funny thing about the things that he said, that Dannion Brinkley said that he saw in the military, was that he was asked to do information gathering just like all the other psychics. They were given coordinates in an envelope, and they would open up the envelope in a room all alone, and they would give their impressions of what may or may not be in that place. Now, I love remote viewing because it very much reminds me of astral projection and what we were taught as kids on how to do astral projection. Now, the easiest way I know how to do astral projection is to basically take a nap every day at the same time, usually in the middle of the day, with an intention that you are going to project your consciousness to another place. Now, I feel that if you do it at the same time with the same intention every day, you will be more successful. And that's how I do my astral projection. And usually it's easier to do astral projection from lucid dreaming. So if you are very good at controlling your dreams or understanding when you are dreaming, you can basically go off into the astral plane from a lucid dream. Now, the cool thing about remote viewing, it's the idea of splitting your consciousness in half, as in your physical body is in one place and your mind is in another place, seeing what's happening in that other place. Now, is it the most reliable way to get information? No, but they have realized that the psychics that were employed with the US government did verify information that was gathered from spies who were out in the field. So it did confirm at least that much. Now, the cool thing about psychics in the military It's this military claims that they are no longer using psychics in their information gathering, and that Project Stargate and Grill Flame didn't have much success, so they ended the program. But more than likely, they had gathered information correctly on how to use the processes to get more success, and whomever they're using now are using those processes that worked. Now, do you know about Project Grill Flame? Do you know about Project Stargate? And have you ever heard of Dannion Brinkley? Have you ever seen Dannion Brinkley on Unsolved Mysteries? Hugs, health, and happiness from Las Vegas.